Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to Chef Wu Can, You Can Too. Today is a little special. I'm deviating off the Asian cuisine. I want to cook you tonight and show you how to prepare my most favorite when I go to IKEA is the Swedish meatballs. All right? Basically, you could have a combination of ground pork and beef together. The pork adds a little sweetness to it. So I basically added half ground pork and half beef. All right, and I had a little bit, about 85% of lean beef and 15% of the fat, because I believe that the fat gives it some flavor. All right, so I combined them together, and it basically asks for some nutmeg to be mixed in, and they also mentioned cardamom, but a substitute for cardamom is cinnamon. So basically, I added, based on this quantity of mixture, about a tablespoon of each. I added an egg, and I added maybe a half a cup or quarter cup of panko flakes. Salt and pepper, obviously, a little garlic powder. And so I marinated it, so it's all ready to go. And basically, we're going to be making the meatballs here. So let me show you. So here we go with the meatballs. Well, if you guys have ever been to IKEA, you know that the meatballs are really tiny and savory. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make tiny meatballs. And basically after this, we're going to grill it on the non-stick pan, medium. We're not going to use a wok. And we just want to get it browned. I added an onion, chopped onion, finely chopped, to the mixture also. I mean, it might be easy to go to the store and buy a bag of Swedish meatballs that's already been marinated, but I feel that, you know, a true connoisseur of food would like to always get their hands involved in the preparation of the food. The younger generation these days, they don't really know. So I want to show you guys that it's not that bad. So I hope that this holiday season you guys are able to shop online, get your favorite gifts for the family. And by doing these meatballs myself, it takes my mind off a lot that's going on these days in the news. So basically, we got the meatballs rounded. They're going to be ready to brown. And here's my trusty butane stove. I'm going to put it on. Basically, keep it at medium. What I'm going to do is add a little oil. Let it heat up a little bit. So really what you want here is a browning. You don't have to worry about the whole meatball being cooked. I mean, if anything, it'll be medium rare. But once you put the sauce in, it'll be further cooking it together. So a lot of the beef juices will go into the gravy. So it will further cook even further. Alright? So we'll just plop it in. Obviously it's different sizes that I made here. But I love this dish. So anytime I tell my wife, let's go to IKEA, she's always in shock. She says, you want to go shopping? But I go shopping, but the first stop is the restaurant. Obviously I don't have lingonberry sauce, but that adds to it. So basically you just want it at medium heat. Just let it brown a little bit. fairly easy process. The sauce, they basically say, using sour cream, but if you don't have sour cream, I use half and half. Beef broth. I'll use a little coloring with the B Gum Gay dark soy sauce. Some butter. So when it's at medium, it's more manageable. You won't feel rushed, you won't see it get burned. Nice color. And then we have the hot water cooking, so we'll be able to make the egg noodle. Now I prefer the egg noodle. Obviously, it's concerned from a yolk standpoint that it may be high in cholesterol. But like I said, everything in moderation is okay. So, I mean, this is a quick meal. It's warm. It makes your tummy really comfortable. It's a comfort food. It has a nice taste to it. So, taken away from the meatball, Italian meatballs, it's sauce. This is a little different. And I find that after I have it, it's very comforting and relaxing to me. Sometimes when things are well done, it might be a little more tougher. So if it's a little bit medium rare, and then you're going to add additional cooking when you make the sauce, it's going to be perfect. Right? I'd rather do that than have it well done meatballs, put in the sauce, then all that meat gets tightened up and it's a little bit more chewier. And you only thought Chef Wu can only make Asian food. Not everybody likes Asian food, so that's why I took a detour to the European side. And I said maybe this basic Swedish meatballs will do the trick. So hopefully I'll find some fans that may appreciate this dish. And my Asian connoisseurs would also appreciate this too if they wanted to change it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take the meatballs out. I got pretty much medium rare. I'm going to leave the sauce in. I'll lower it a little bit. Now I'll add, and this is the Chef Wu Can's way of making Swedish meatballs, okay? So it does require a roux, but I mean, how many people really have time to make a roux? So I take a shortcut. I'm going to put a cornstarch slurry solution in. So I'm going to give it a little buttery flavor. Then I have my chicken broth, college in. Add a little bit of that. Now you may like a lot of sauce, you may not like a lot of sauce. I like it to be in a lot of sauce. So that was probably like a quarter cup, but you can eye it pretty much. I'm using half and half. You could use heavy cream if you like it really creamy. I don't want it to be too rich. It's about the same amount. Raise the heat a little bit. And we'll stir it up. Now you see the color, so I may want to add a little bit of Lee Gum Gay dark soy sauce. Just a tad bit. You may want to add a little bit more. In terms of shade, it really doesn't matter. It just depends on how you prefer it. Then I'll add a little nutmeg. Let this come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll taste it a little bit to make sure the flavors are in sync. I hope you're enjoying my videos. I know within the last week or two I've been making a lot of them because I'm really kind of like bored. But if you like them and you like what's coming up and you like what you see, please subscribe. And the reason why is because the more followers I have, the more exposure I am to advertisers that may want to put ads on my website. So I know that I'm a newbie, but it always helps. And if you like it, please like me. Give me a thumbs up. So, we'll taste it. It's very good. Perfect. So now, we'll take the slurry solution. This is equal parts of water and cornstarch. Maybe make it a little darker. I like it a little darker. So East does meet West in terms of ingredients. So we'll add a little cornstarch solution. And you could always save it. The water will dry out. It'll look like a crater, but you always can save it. All you have to do is just reconstitute it with adding water to the cornstarch, and you have additional thickener. I like it to be a little thick, but not too thick. But always add your slurry solution when the heat is on. You want to cook the slurry solution. You don't want to add it when the heat is off, because then after a while it will taste pasty. You don't want that. Because I added the broth and because I added the half and half, it may require a little bit more. But I always want to cook the slurry solution. Now if you have time, if you wanted to do a roux, you could. I didn't add that much butter because to the egg noodles I'll be adding butter to that. So we get a nice little thickness. That's nice. And as you cook it, a lot of the water will evaporate above the broth, so it'll be even thicker. So the thickness is up to you. The color is up to you. So even though this is a nonstick pan, what happens is with the slurry solution, if you don't stir it, it settles to the bottom and then it burns. So even though it's nonstick, it shouldn't really burn. You know, when it comes to cornstarch and water solution, it will settle to the bottom and it will make it more difficult and it will leave a burnt mark. So you always want to keep it moving. So even when I'm stirring it, a lot of the moisture is evaporating. Okay, now we'll just add the meatballs. So we'll let a lot of the meat fuse with the gravy. And then I'll take this off the butane stove, and then we'll prepare the noodles, and then we'll present it. This whole process probably took no more than maybe 15 minutes. Who has time, right? Easy. Nothing complicated. I did take a shortcut. Instead of a roux, I'm using cornstarch slurry solution. And you could always add this all together. You get the meatballs that haven't been cooked, but you make the gravy ahead of time, and maybe not as thick. And then you put it in a crock pot, bring it over to a friend's. In 1-2 hours, it should be cooked. So that makes a beautiful presentation in the crock pot. It's a different dish. So I just want to stir it a little bit more, just to get the meat involved, the flavor of the meat into the sauce. We already did that when we added the beef broth inside. So in moderation, everything's great. So half and half is good. But if you prefer heavy cream, you can use that too. Notice I never let it sit. I always keep things moving. Let the heat of the sauce further cook the meatballs. Can you use this with turkey? Yes, you can. I think it would be better with turkey because although turkey might have a slight gamey taste, by adding the cinnamon and the nutmeg, salt and pepper, will pretty much dilute that flavor. And then you have the sauce. It'll make it much better. So using ground turkey is fine. You can use a meatloaf mix, which is a combination of veal, pork, and beef. Alright, so this is all done. I'm going to take it off the butane stove and I'm going to show you the noodles. Okay, with the magic of technology, here's the hot water. It's been cooking before, so I don't want you to wait too long. And what kind of noodles do I use? I use the Muller's egg noodles. Obviously they come in big different sizes. The wide egg noodles, the thin egg noodles is really up to you. So you basically wait until the water's cooking, boiling. I love this meal. It's really home cooking. Put the noodles in. Stir it up. Now, just like spaghetti, I prefer al dente. Al dente means it's not overly done, it's not undercooked. It's right in the middle. Al dente, perfect. I'm not going to take it and throw it up to the ceiling to make sure it's perfect. So you don't want it to be overdone, a little mushy. You don't want it to be underdone where it's still a little crunchy. You want it just right in the middle there. So you're just going to have to test it bit by bit. Okay? The smaller the noodles, the quicker it becomes. The larger noodles will take a little bit more time. So when you get the hang of the textures of the food you make, and the textures that you like from the meat that you cook, you'll get a comfort level in terms of, should I cook the beef well done before I put in the sauce? If I did that, does it taste a little bit more chewier, or should I keep it at medium rare and then further cook it with the gravy and it comes out just perfectly? So you'll be able to experiment in terms of timing and in terms of how much you want to cook certain things. You don't always have to overcook everything. In America, we tend to overcook everything. And so, we don't really know the textures, like the medium rare, the rare before cooking, adding sauce to it, okay? You may want to add your meatballs to the sauce, not even browning it. That's another way. There's no wrong way of cooking. If anything, the reason why I don't really tell you the measurements, I just give you like an estimate, is because I don't want you to feel that cooking is a regimented craft. We've already been exposed to that in the corporate world. We only could do this for this many minutes, and we only could do this, we have to fill out this. I want you to understand that cooking is creative. I want you to enjoy getting involved in cooking, creating different flavors, creating different textures, just going all out. There's not one recipe that is ever patented, because you change one ingredient, it changes the whole dynamics of that dish. So that's one industry that you can take a recipe and change one of the ingredients in terms of add a little bit more or a little bit less, or delete an ingredient, and you created a whole different dish, right? So that's one of the beauties of creative cooking. Now, I also sell peanut brittle, and you can check me out, Chef Wu Peanut Brittle.etsy.com. Now, there's a traditional flavor everybody's used to. That's the most popular, and peanut brittle goes back way back when. But today, try different flavors. My peanut brittle is now considered gourmet peanut brittle. I add bourbon whiskey flavor, root beer float flavor, strawberry jam flavor, Irish cream flavor. And you know what? They all pair well. Because in brittle, the base is sugar. And sugar goes with everything. So, it's taken a little longer for people to warm up to that, but eventually they are. The younger generation, and I have to thank the millennial generation, you guys are really setting the precedence in terms of new flavors coming out. You're forcing the food manufacturers to experiment. Okay? If you haven't seen that now, you should be seeing it. They're just mixing flavors all over the place. So, we do the same thing with food. So like the recipes that you look for, they're just a guide. If you have a more preference for spicy and the recipe doesn't really ask for it, you can add it spicy. You never know what may happen. People may love it. You may love it. As long as you love it, that's the best thing that you could ever ask for. So this is one area that you can be creative, right? Just put up your sleeves, just get in the kitchen, get your hands dirty, create whatever. You want a big meatball? Make a big meatball. You want a big crab cake? Make a big crab cake. Make a small crab cake. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same thing. We're going to eat it all at the same time. I have a recipe coming up, and I'll show you. Crab cake. In Maryland, jumbo lump crab cake is a big thing. Old Bay seasoning. Great. But you know what? I can make a crab cake, jumbo lump crab cake, with a nice Thai Penang curry poured over it. It's so delicious. And you're not taking away from the flavor, and it's so good. So keep with me, subscribe, you'll see it. Because I love to eat, and I love cooking. Okay, so the noodles look al dente. It's perfect. We'll take it out with a strainer. We'll add butter. Add a little salt. Add a little pepper. Then we'll add some dry parsley. Mix it together. Get the butter in there so the noodles, the hot noodles will melt it, mesh together. Now, get the presentation dish. We'll add a little of the noodles in the middle. Now we'll add the meatballs. And there you have it. Swedish meatballs. Now, I'll take a bite. I can't resist. This is usually the best part. Take a little bit of the noodles with the gravy. Delicious. I'll cut the meatball in half. Perfect texture. Perfect. A little bit more of the noodles. Chef Wu Can. He's a happy camper. So I want you to keep on tuning in with me. Please subscribe and please give me a thumbs up. And my brand, Chef Wu Can, you can too. There's a reason for that. I know everybody's a little bit anxiety, stressed out. And maybe sometimes, things aren't the way that we want it to be. But if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. So Chef Wu Can, you can too. So I want you to enjoy the holidays as it comes up. Do your last minute shopping. And I will have my next video coming up, which will be California maki rolls. Okay? So thank you very much, and check me at www.chefwucan.com. I'm a restaurant critic, blogger. I have a lot of stories that I write about. I'm a food writer. And I tell you things about, food that you may not even be aware of. Okay? So, if you have nothing better to do other than watching TV, check me out. So, Chef Wu Can here. You can too. Thank you very much for thank you for watching me. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.